From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into episode 175 of From the Middle. We are three middle-class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with a point of view somewhere in the middle, except when we're not in the middle of America because Kory's been in Europe. In this episode, Kory gives us some boring fun facts. Then I go on about Lego for too long. Kendall talks a little bit about Christmas, and I do as well. And then he talks about parenting solo. And since Kory's been in Europe for 2 weeks, we spend the back half catching up on all of his gallivanting. Tune in. This is a very nice, lukewarm episode.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
From the Middle after dark over here.
Did you guys know, embrace yourselves, the Easter Island heads have bodies?
Under the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're excavating around it to reveal the bodies.
Good.
Wow.
I had no idea.
I didn't either. How have they been buried as such?
Erosion, I'm guessing? Just like,
The land shifting.
yeah.
It happened to be shifting up where they are.
You want some more fun facts?
Yeah, I want some more fun facts.
I learned this week that Will and Jada Smith named their kids Jaden and Willow.
Yeah.
That didn't hit me. How are you guys doing? It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
That was a killer start. It's probably one of our best.
Super strong.
There's a weird energy right now, separated by 6 hours.
Exactly. Kory is still in England, and which means that this is a weird time for him. It's late for him, right?
Still in Europe.
Still in Europe.
No
You're not
longer in England.
Where are you?
I'm in Geneva, Switzerland.
Oh, that's right. I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that. You said that earlier in the text. I read and pay attention because I love you guys.
Which, if you're not on YouTube, you'll miss it. But I'm wearing my Switzerland blue wave hat today for their famous sports team over there in Switzerland.
That's right. I'm wearing my Switzerland Bengals hat.
Yep. Switzerland
Today.
blue wave.
And
Very popular team.
And I've got a clever joke about my freshly shaved head. And Switzerland.
Do it.
But no, it's good to see you guys. I don't actually.
You don't actually. You had me all ready for laughter.
Yeah,
Kory said that he's separated by a wall between he and other patrons of the establishment he is staying in. So he's trying to keep the NPR soft voice.
But the
I thought
energy
I thought you were going to say you in Western Germany. So you're close enough.
You guys good? What's going on? What's going on with you guys? Tell me about everything. I miss you.
You've been gone so long. I started growing a beard because I missed you. I just want you, if you can't see on YouTube,
That's what that is. Okay. Yeah.
If you can't see on YouTube, it's gross. Don't tune in for that, but it's there. Really minor news, but we haven't talked about Lego in a while. We talked about Lego Masters. We haven't talked about Lego in a while. We moved, for anyone who doesn't know, I had a sort of back catalog of unbuilt Lego sets that I was kind of waiting to move from the last place we lived to a new place that would hopefully have room. Now that we're here and I have some room, I can start building things. And the first thing I decided to build was the Lego Ideas The Office set, which was a ton of fun, by the way. If you're into The Office at all, even if you're not into Lego, just look up the set. There's so many different Easter eggs. I had to the show. I had to at least, and a ton of minifigs. I had to at least mention a couple that I really really liked, and one that I was confused by. But the first thing I wanted to point out, it was a lot of fun after I built it to sort of place the minifigs around the office as part of the setup. I did, for anyone curious and a fan of the show, I did put, there's sort of the doorway into the office. You can see, if you're on YouTube, you can see the back of the picture is the doorway into like the front office or the front desk where Pam is. I made sure to put Toby out there. He's not a part of the office family, and he's divorced, so he's not a part of his own family. So I made sure to hide Toby out in what would be the hallway into the office.
So that's back here, yeah.
Yeah. And in between Dwight's desk and Jim's desk, and there's a little brown like shelf or something with a plant. There's actually a sword hidden under there because Dwight hides weapons around the office.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And so many little ones. There's a tiny little yellow block you can't see on Michael's desk, and you put a sticker on it. And I finally realized that it says, "Hiya, buddy," with a picture of a banana, because Pam hands Michael a "Hiya, buddy" banana Post-it with a little picture that she drew. And then the last one that I was totally...
You guys see it? I found it. You guys
there's tons of great references. So look at the pictures on the Lego website. Maybe I'll do a mid-bit video and record some of the different things. In between Michael's office and the conference room, I was building... I kind of knew the general part of... That's where I hid Toby, outside the office, if you're on YouTube. I kind of knew the general area where I was building, and I'd never seen this in the instructions before. As I'm building, it has me put a little white wall piece with a hole in it. And I'm thinking, okay, there's something that's going to hang there or something. I'll get back to it. And at the end of the page, it shows like crossing arrows to remove the piece in the middle of the wall that I just put that has the hole in it, and to put in a piece that doesn't have a hole. And if you don't follow Lego, you're never told to build something and then unbuild it and replace it with a different piece. That's just not a thing that you ever do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there staring, going, what the heck? Why would you ever? And then I realized what it was and had a really, really big laugh for about 10 minutes. It's the hole in the wall when Andy Bernard gets mad and punches the wall. So you get your choice of, although Andy is not a minifig in the set, you get your choice. He must be at grief count, or it must be at counseling. You get your choice of whether you want the hole in the wall from Andy Bernard or not as you're building it. So I laughed a good, long, hard. It was so funny. Once it clicked. So very, very fun set. Like I said, if you're into The Office at all, just go check it out. There's a bunch of little things that the show references, and I'm sure some things that I missed. If you can see, Creed is holding essentially what's a little green and a little yellow piece in his hand that are stacked on top of each other. And the only thing I can think is those are mung beans that he's sprouting in his office, desk drawer. So really, really fun set. And if anyone wants to weigh in, I don't know what I should do next. I have the Friends Cafe and Apartments and also the Seinfeld set. So if anybody wants to weigh in on what they think I should build next, certainly let me know. But I'm leaning Seinfeld.
And if you're following along on YouTube, this set too can be yours for only 149,000 Swiss francs.
Yes, or I think $119 US.
Yeah. What is that in Oscar Myers?
Yeah, that's 119 freedom dollars.
Freedom dollars. True.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Freedom bucks. Dwight is holding pretty much all the characters have an item specific to them. Dwight's is a Shroot buck that he has. So again, so many great references.
I love all those little references. And once again, Lego hits it out of the park with a set that everybody has to have if you like that show.
You sure do. That's
Beautiful.
fun. I appreciate that. Every time, you know, I haven't been into Lego and as an adult at all. And as my kids get into it, they're now of the age that they can put it together themselves. And so when we get them a set, like I'm not necessarily all that involved in helping them anymore. So I don't know if I'll ever really get back into it. But every time I hear one of these stories about someone's experience about putting together one of the intricate collector style kind of sets like this, it just makes me happy to hear what Lego is doing. So thank you for sharing that, Dillon. Even looking at the pictures as Kory was pulling them up of the set, like there are boatloads more of, I don't know, I wouldn't even call them Easter eggs, just because it's like there's so many of them that it's not a rarity. There's so much in there to look at. It's fun.
Yeah. You have a couple chuckles and a few tee-hee-hees along the way as you build it, and just a good old time. And we were sitting at our dining table. I was building that. My daughter was playing with her Lego friends, and my wife was building the elf house kind of for Christmas because she wanted to build that. And I think we're going to do the Home Alone house too and put that out as some Christmas decor.
Perfect. So. Speaking of Christmas, buddy, you sent us a video that made me so happy.
That's true. I did. I'm going to have to throw myself under the bus with this story.
I'm with you. I'm
going to have to throw myself under the bus. I'm going to get some hate mail for this one, but we did put up our Christmas tree. We put up our Christmas tree because we bought a new
October and it's time.
No, I do not agree with that statement. My defense is that we have a new house, and typically we had about a 5-foot, really skinny, like the kind of tree you would like put on your front porch. Like it's not really a Christmas tree. It's like a little short decorative tree that sits outside. You don't actually decorate. Yeah. It's just got lights on it and whatever. But we had used that for our entire marriage as our Christmas tree because we've always lived in small places. And it was just easier to use one of those. Well, we went and got an official 7.5-foot, 1,400 light LED, Christmas tree. And we'd had it a few weeks and we're like, well, there's a return policy. We should probably open it and put it together and make sure the lights work and everything's assembled and all the pieces or parts there. And
Absolutely.
Then of course, you're not going to take it down once you have it set up if it's mid-October.
That's right.
And the other part of that, something that I had wanted for a long time that I knew we had room for the last time we were at Costco, I saw in the toy section that Lionel, the company that makes toy trains, had 2 train options that you could buy at a very good price. One was the Hogwarts Express and one was the Polar Express. And so I snagged up the Hogwarts train and thought, well, the tree is up, the lights are on and working. I might as well assemble the Hogwarts Express and put it under the
season, my friend,
and put it under the Christmas tree. So
yeah,
we did. We even, dare I say it, turned on a little Christmas music just while we assembled the tree because it felt right. It felt wrong to play nothing or something else. So for about 45 minutes, we had Christmas music playing while we put the tree up, and I assembled the train under the tree. And my daughter has asked to play with it multiple times a day, every day since we put it up.
That's awesome.
It's indefensible.
My heart.
It's indefensible. I know.
Not at all. I'm going to start decorating on Halloween Day. That's put up the old Christmas village, which comes with a full-size 7-foot tall, skinny Christmas tree to go on our landing, because that's where I grab power from, and you got to hide the cord. Mm-hmm. And the Christmas tree is what hides the cord. So one Christmas tree and the whole village goes up in just a couple of weeks. The rest of it doesn't go up until the weekend after Thanksgiving, but
that's got that down to a science. I'm excited for you, man.
I was able to, the tree that we got has a pedal to do different colors of lights and kinds and whatever. Yeah. And so I kept that on the inside of the tree inside of the track, and was able to run the wire to the plug underneath the train tracks and then back up to the outlet. So the train I don't have to worry about it snagging anything on its trips around.
Yeah, that'd be horrible.
Yeah. Horrific train accident.
Indeed. Yeah. Nothing. I mean, you know me, there's nothing that says Christmas quite like fall. That's what I always say.
Yep.
That's what I always say.
People have really strong feelings about this and when you should or should not do things. And I wonder if there's anybody that gets like legitimately furious at their friend, family member, or neighbor for going too soon, too late, not removing the lights in time. I know we've talked about this before, but I just imagine that there's somebody who's getting like seriously angry that it keeps getting earlier and earlier, that people start setting up for Christmas.
Well,
yeah.
We got some feedback in the parking lot from a passerby when we were taking our tree out and loading it up. And you could tell that this lady was sort of sickened, and she said the nicest thing that she still shouldn't have said, but it came out. And it was like a Christmas tree's already kind of thing. And my wife just looks at her and goes, we just didn't want them to sell out. We needed a new one. And then you could tell that she's like criticizing somebody for shopping when it's none of her business.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. This is going inside our house where you don't have to look at it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then she kind of backed down a little bit and was sort of like, oh, okay, well, let's have Halloween first, at least, kind of thing. So it's like, you can tell people are certainly annoyed by it, right?
I'm married to one of those.
Yeah. But you're just going to
unfortunately for her.
Yeah, you're just going to put your tree up and you're going to enjoy the heck out of it.
That's exactly right. Hey, our kids are starting to learn piano, and on her own, Lydia has taught herself Jingle Bells, and so we've been spending all summer long listening to her figure out Jingle Bells, and that got to a point where like Amy got so annoyed, I think, by the fact that like it's such an easy song and like you're missing the same note over and over and over again, that Amy like taught her Jingle Bells.
And through gritted teeth.
The irony of that and the smile on my face is unmistakable.
That's fun. Kendall, what's up with you, my man?
Oh boy, I tell you what, this is my wife. She travels for work several times a year. It's never anything like, it's not out of the country or anything, and more often than not it's for like a day or two, and I usually don't have a problem with handling the kids and things myself. It wasn't that big of a problem either this time, but yesterday was a day where things were just all stacked right on top of each other, and I tell you, I don't have a funny take on it all, other than to say, like, once again, sometimes in those moments, I can't help but think to myself, there are single parents in this world who do this every day. Like, this is their life. So we literally had dentist appointments, all three kids. We had piano lessons, we had a karate thing, and then I had to, I shouldn't say had to, I love doing it, lead a small group, all after picking up the kids from school. And it was just all kind of back to back stuff. And by the end of yesterday, man, I was just mentally fatigued. And then I think to myself, there are people who have days like this, and they never have a spouse to help them out. And so if that's you out there, I just want to tell you that I see you. I can't, I'm not acting like I'm stepping into your shoes, because I did it for like a day, but I appreciate it. That's all. Just wanted to give some encouragement out there, just to let people know that I see you.
That's really nice. I also love how you probably still somehow manage to offend everybody or offend somebody at the same time. Because somebody somewhere, just like me with my Christmas thing, I offended half the audience. Somebody's always offended somewhere. Like, oh, You see me after one day, which you even prefaced. You did such a good job.
Well, before we started recording, I've messed up every sentence I've started to say since we clicked record. Before I started recording, I told Kendall, because he said one of the things he had to do in that busy day was take his daughter to dance class. And I said, girls love their dance class. And then I was like, you probably can't even say that anymore in a world.
And you probably offended a slightly higher percentage of the audience.
That's right. Yeah, it's that Kory's the bad guy right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what my response was when you said that, because I want to stay in second place.
On our flight from London Heathrow to Geneva was a single mom with 3 kids. I want to say like 3, 5, and 7, or 3, 6, and 8, somewhere around there. And 2 of the 3 were very loud. They weren't sitting by me. They were sitting by my boss. And at first he's like, this is just an absolute crap show. He didn't say crap show because he's Australian. But then he thought, once we landed, like what you just said, like, my gosh, like she's doing this by herself. Now, she's probably not doing that every day, but man, like when you have to do anything, a crazy day, a crazy flight by yourself as the parent, whether there's another parent in the picture or not, it definitely gives you appreciation. Sherry left to go to Denver before I left for this trip. So I was Mr. Mom all week and was doing all the running. And I'm like,
there goes the rest of the people that you didn't offend before. Now they're.
I have a new appreciation for Kendall and what he does on a regular, right? Like, just like, man, it always seems, I know I've said this before, it seems like there's only a bunch of events on like rare, uncommon events only seem to hit when Sherry's gone. School dances, picture days, like things that end of sports season, banquets, like all this stuff only seems to happen when Sherry's gone. But she goes, no, those things don't only happen when you're gone. You're just aware of it because I'm gone. This is what I do all the time.
There you go. Speaking of which, you're speaking to us from the middle of a 2-week European spa-like excursion that I want to hear more about.
Yeah.
You probably put in a few minutes of work here or there in the last 2 weeks. Yeah. We need to get a lot more details, but we should take a really quick break and hear from one of our friends in the Odd Pods Media Network. Everyone come right back to catch up on Kory.
Hey, it's Dalton.
And Sam.
We want to tell you about our podcast called Big 10 Plus 4.
Are you a college football fan who doesn't want to always be talking about the SEC?
Are you a college basketball fan who's tired of hearing how the Big 10 doesn't win in the big dance?
Then we're the show for you. Check us out each week on the Odd Pods Media Network. We bring you college sports with a Big 10 flavor.
Big 10 Plus 4. College sports with Midwest perspective. Blue collar and blue blood.
We are back, guys. This episode is going. I feel like Kory set a tone for us, and some of these episodes, when we record them afterward, we're like, "Man, that was a whole lot of fun, high energy. What a great episode." We think very highly of ourselves sometimes, and other times we're like, "Yeah, well, I mean, that's what we got. We'll put it out there." And then this week, like, I don't feel like it's bad at all, but it's not like that. It hasn't been that super high what the word I'm looking for, super high energy kind of episode. We've just been kind of like in a groove. It's been like a smooth jazz episode, I feel like, is what this has developed into. I like it.
Yeah, it's like hot chocolate and a weeknight of reruns. Yeah, it's nice.
Indeed. That sounds
not going to change your life.
No, but like, you'll think back on that in a few weeks when it's just you with no spouse and 4 kids and be like, that night was nice.
Yeah. You're going to want to send the kids to bed and listen to this episode.
Boom.
There it is.
So yeah, we talked a little tiny bit about London last week, so I don't want to belabor London, but a couple extra things happened that were sort of cool little moments for me and would love to get you guys' thoughts on them. The first of which is just the age and the history of places here, because our places are much younger. and our buildings are much younger.
Yeah.
We went into a pub with some of we is our colleagues called Ye Olde Mitre, MITRE, in London, and established in 1546. And part of the movie Snatch with Brad Pitt and others was filmed in this pub. It's just a super cool spot. And then I had half of my Friday was free, so I decided to do a little walkabout. So I was in the center of sort of London proper, which centers around this area called Bank. So I'm in the not touristy side of London. I'm in like the old established business district of London. And so I decided to walk down Blackfriars Bridge, walk around to the Eye of London, which is the big Ferris wheel thing. Now I'm getting into the touristy bit. I cross Westminster Bridge, which is the bridge that you see Big Ben on your left when you're crossing Westminster Bridge. And then I work my way back up to get back out of the touristy area. When I'm walking my way back up to get out of the touristy area, I see that there's this boat on the Thames that's also a pub. And so I walk out on the gangplank, grab myself a Guinness as it starts to rain, sit underneath the covered awning, sitting there having a Guinness in the rain on the Thames, looking at Big Ben, and also playing Pokemon Go. To try to catch some of the exclusive regionals that are here that you can only get from this part of the world. So that was good.
You know why people see pictures of London and still think Harry Potter? Because they have to cross Blackfriars Bridge to go to Ye Olde Mitre, to the Tower of London and Bloody Mary this, and it's like, because it still feels magical. That's why.
Yeah,
you can't even describe a normal day for normal people without it sounding fantastical.
Oh, well, let me just tell you, take that thought even further. So I'm going back up to my hotel, which happened to be by St. Paul's Cathedral, which I think I mentioned in the last episode. But anyway, one of my colleagues said, hey, just take this other route back to your hotel. There's a place called Ye Olde Cheshire Cheese. And I said, that sounds interesting. And the reason I chose it, by the way, my colleague Lionheart did a terrific job explaining the history of London and here's why I wanted to go to these. He was like my little personal concierge. I'm just really grateful that he did that. But when he was describing Ye Olde Cheshire Cheese, he said there are 4 levels of basements and hidden rooms. And the further down you go, you keep losing like cellular service. So like people have gotten caught down there and like their wives are like, are you still out? And they're not responding and they're worried.
Yeah.
Anyway, when you walk in, and this is not a touristy place, so it's not like they're making what I'm about to say up just to entice you to go in there. It used to be a favorite haunt of Charles Dickens used to go in there and just hang out. And you're like, holy crap. So I think the thing that just stood out to me this time was like, because I've been to London a couple times, I've seen some of the touristy things, but going to these like places that the locals go and some of their favorite pubs and some of the more historic things was just really cool. So that was London. And then when I booked this trip, and normally I don't do back-to-back trips, that's a lot to ask of my wife. That's a lot to ask of our kiddos, and I greatly appreciate what she's doing back home so that I can do this back-to-back trip. But the situation was what it was. And so the lady who does our booking, when she said, hey, we've got 2 separate gigs, 2 separate weeks back to back, one in London, one in Geneva, would you mind doing it? And I said, after a discussion with Cher, sure, that works. So the next question became, what do you want to do with your weekend between? Because it doesn't make sense to go back. And so I started brainstorming the likelihood and the possibility of like, what if? Well, first off, how far are the Grief Burrito boys from London, right? So I'm messaging with Harrison and Jordan going like, if one were to be in London, what's the likelihood that you guys would be free and how far would it be to get to you? and it's a 2-hour, 7-minute train ride up to Manchester Piccadilly Station, which is another Hogwarts, like Harry Potter, Manchester Piccadilly Station sounding thing. And that's like really close to Harrison. So
Is it protected by gargoyles?
parts of it are.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh my gosh, man, that'd be awesome. It'd be so good to see you. And man, that would be great. And so I'm like, oh, what the heck? So out of my personal finances, I purchased a train ticket to Manchester Piccadilly. And he says, we're going to show you around town. So I'm on the train, which riding a train through the English countryside was very fun. It goes about 100 and some odd miles an hour. So it's not one of the like chicken trains. It's like riding on a cloud. You don't feel anything other than like when you come to a complete stop. So that was really cool. And as I'm on my way up there, now let's go back. When I was in London and I had some free time in the evenings, I've been watching the monster Jeffrey Dahmer story on Netflix. It's a dramatization about the life of Jeffrey Dahmer. And the creepiest part of that show is that nothing is made up in the documentary. It's not a documentary, sorry. In the dramatization, the details are unfortunately accurate. And I'm like, what if Harrison's like a murderer? And then I'm like, what if I'm a murderer and Harrison doesn't know it? Like I'm basically just going up to meet a guy that we met in the world of podcasting. This is a little silly, or a little, but they seem like trustworthy guys. Let's do this, right? Anyway, my train got in at about 10:50 in the morning, and I cannot thank Harrison enough, because he basically became my chauffeur, tour guide. It was so much fun. I'm going to share some pictures. So if you're on the YouTubes, we went to a part of Manchester that is like their Chinatown, and found a traditional Vietnamese cuisine restaurant. Yes, in Chinatown.
Fun.
Okay, hold on. Got to go back. Sorry, folks. I want to do the pictures in chronological order because I'm weird like that. Sorry. And I know we are a podcast and not a YouTube.
It's true. For those, I know we talk about Brief Burrito quite a bit here, and they are amazing fellas on podcast. And I know I've said it before, like they're a gaming podcast. And so if you're gaming, certainly they should be one of your top picks, but also for anyone else, like they're fun. They're fun to listen to, regardless of what the backdrop topic is.
Yeah. Good point. Thanks, Kendall. So here's us at the Vietnamese pho place, PHO, pho. That's Harrison on the right. I think it's safe for me to say that's his girlfriend, Helen, next to him. There's Jordan with his eyes closed. And then there's one of their friends and a fan of theirs on their Discord page, and a phenomenal illustrator named Ross Cook. And Ross, I follow Ross's work on Instagram. He's awesome. And
there's an escaped French prisoner in the back.
Exactly. Interestingly, I think Jordan and Harrison had never met Ross in person before either. So that was really cool. And then
Americans are just bringing the world together, aren't we?
Well, a few more of their friends from the Discord would show up, and then Jordan and his friend Joel, and then Joel's girlfriend Lauren. So there was like a group of 7 of us that just started walking around Manchester for the rest of that day. So I'm going to pull up the photo of the Vietnamese restaurant. Yeah. I know I already did that, but here's the name of it. Hold on one sec. So sorry.
Americans bringing the world together. Funny fact, if you go to England and you try the tea there, make sure that they're not taxing you, because if they do, you just need to ask them, are you taxing this? And then if they say yes, you'd be like, I'm an American. I don't do that.
We've been through this before. There was a whole thing about it. So the family that owns this restaurant, their last name is Q, and it's a pho place. So that's fun.
That took me way too long, man. That took me way too long to get that one. I appreciate the heck out of that.
So that's fun. And then one more, I think. Oh, so sorry. Okay, I can't minimize while I'm recording. That's cool.
Oh man.
As
long as there's no dead air.
Yeah, that would be horrible. So we went. So here's just a few of the things we did. So we went to this Hogwarts-esque library in Manchester. We went to this big mall. We went to a Lego store together. Jordan and Ross. I think Ross is into it, but mainly Jordan is really into Warhammer. You know, the Warhammer tabletop game where you paint the figures. They had a store that during COVID, the people who worked in this store, one piece at a time, built a massive diorama for their Warhammer stuff that I've got some amazing pictures of. That was really cool. We went to multiple geek comic book type shops and then took a little break, went back to Joel and Lauren's flat to hang out and do a little pregame before we went out that evening. And while we were chilling, we played some Mario Kart. And maybe one of the highlights of my entire 2 weeks is that I beat Harrison at Mario Kart, and he has a video game podcast. That was awesome. So then we went out that evening to one of those barcades that was really a jumping joint and had a lot of good fun. So that was Manchester. And then that evening, I just found a hotel. Then I had this really weird moment where I kept my hotel back in London because work paid for that one. And I was sort of on this side excursion, but I still needed some stuff for a side excursion and didn't want to have like a big roller bag. So I just took like a day's worth of stuff in a backpack. So that entire time of walking around Manchester, I had like a 25-pound backpack on.
Oh, that's unpleasant.
Did about 18,000 steps that day, according to my phone. So I'm crashing that night in my hotel near the airport in Manchester, feeling very weird that half my stuff's in London and half my stuff's on my back. I felt like doubly in the middle of nowhere. Like the fact that I'm this far away from my wife and kids in London is one thing. Then I went even further away. You know what I mean? And like had my stuff split in, well, essentially 3 places. It was just a very weird moment. Any thoughts, feedback, questions?
So much good stuff. I think we talked about how you maybe smuggled something over to the Grief Burrito Boys. Yeah. We talked at length about that.
We had a debate over this.
Do you have any notes about your smuggled goods?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, we were debating what I should bring them. And I opted to just go for the officially licensed Buckeyes from Anthony Thomas. And I even said, I also grabbed them some notebooks for my job. I was at the Europe headquarters, the London headquarters of a famous company with a smile in its logo. And so I grabbed them some nice little notebooks. And in the first page of the notebooks, I wrote, here are a couple things for you. Some Buckeyes from the Buckeye State. There are better Buckeyes that you can get, but these are some very good ones. But you should meet our friend Brutus, and you will enjoy them, and they won't kill you because each of you have annoyingly high metabolisms, but real Buckeyes might. And also, here's a notebook from my day job. Enjoy, fill it with bad ideas and inspirational quotes, and enjoy. So yes, they were very grateful. And I said, I think I can speak for Dillon and Kendall when I say, it has been a pleasure meeting you. You guys have always been kind and generous and fun to get to know. And it means a lot that you support us. And so anyway, I signed it from all of us. So
thanks, brother.
Thank you. Did they try the Buckeyes in front
They did not. In my presence, they did not. So,
well, it's a thing. Peanut butter is distinctly American. And that doesn't mean people all over the world can't appreciate peanut butter. but it is very much an American food. And so, as much as we are heavily acclimated to peanut butter and the varieties of desserts and breakfast foods and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, it's much more polarizing everywhere else. So it's very possible that they both looked at it and saw or read peanut butter and like,
thanks, but no thanks.
That's not.
which would be fine. They don't have to like peanut butter, but it's very much an American food. So it's fine.
Except for in China, because they have peanut butter chicken.
That's true. Yeah. When did they take?
I'm pretty sure that's an authentic Chinese dish.
That's great. That's a nice photo. Where is this in Manchester?
Somewhere in Manchester, just on the street. Jordan just said, turn the phone around, take a picture. So there's him. He's 2 for 2 with his eyes closed in photos. So it's a good job. Good job there.
Is Jordan blind?
Yeah, he's doing so well faking everybody out on their YouTube videos. So the next day was just going to be Harrison and I. Everybody else had so much fun the night before that they were going to chill and sleep in the next day. But Harrison and I were responsible, and we're just going to do a leisurely stroll through his hometown of Knutsford, Knuts Ford. So he picked me up at my hotel in Manchester, drove us down to Knutsford, and we saw some really cool things there. We started because he's into ghost stories and goblins and UFOs and stuff like that. So he's like, I've got something I want to start your day with, but I don't want to tell you what it is. I'm having those Jeffrey Dahmer questions in my mind again. When he takes me to this park and we walk through the woods, now I'm really having some of those feelings. And when you walk through the edge of the woods, there's this clearing, and there's an old church that stood at that site in like the 1500s or 1600s. The building is no longer there in any way, shape, or form, but they took the surrounding grave markers and placed the grave markers in the old footprint of that old church. And this is a thing I would see repeated. The English seem to use grave markers as like pavers and as like sidewalk, because I think they figure like the bodies are long gone. The stones are cool though.
Right, yeah.
We could reuse those. So that was really interesting. Then we went to this place called Tatton Park, where they have deer that just roam free. And he's like, you can get so close to the deer and they're huge. And we didn't see any deer. But there's a lake. There's a lake. We did so much walking, you guys. I complained a bit about the walking. It was so much walking. 17,000 steps on this day, 18,000 the day before. So Tatton Park is beautiful. There's a huge lake with these swans. They have big swans, way bigger than our swans. And he said the queen owns all the swans in the country. Well, used to. So the royal family,
she didn't take them with her.
You're not allowed to do anything with the swans. Then he took me to a place called the Rose and Crown Pub for a traditional English dinner, roast dinner, which is lunch. And this is a photo I'm going to share now. Oh my gosh, pulling this up. Sorry again, folks. You had your choice.
How old does a gravestone have to be before we say it's okay to use that as a paver now?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That is. I'm sure they have an answer.
Yeah. So this is a English roast dinner. You got your choice of what kind of red meat you wanted. But then that's a Yorkshire pudding on the left, which, do you guys know what this is?
No, it looks like roasted potatoes in a bread bowl.
You take a pancake batter and you put that down, and then you take your potatoes and you let that thing rise up and around the potatoes, and then you pour that gravy, that bone marrow gravy, over the whole dish. Oh my goodness. And there's like a little onion pate thing and a carrot. And then there's like cheesy broccoli behind there. Oh my gosh.
That looks wonderful.
This place was built in I'm going to look it up because I don't want to get it wrong. 1647. Down the street was this really cool looking 2 or 3 story building that General Patton had opened as a welcome quarters for officers in the Second World War. So there's just all this cool history around. So then he takes me to an art gallery, a bookstore. We went to an art shop. And before I left to go back to Manchester to take the train back to London. He took me to his store. He has a men's clothing store, and it was really cool to see his establishment that his brother works at. So, such a good time, and it was so good seeing those guys, and we had a blast. And there were multiple parts when we were back in Manchester the night before where we're all sitting at a table, and you got your arms on the table, and Jordan would put both hands on my forearm and look me deep in the eyes and say, "Man, it's so good seeing you." And the sentiment went both ways. I would just have this moment where it was surreal that, the 3 of us met these guys online not that long ago, and we talk to them regularly, but here we are hanging out. And it was a nod to the beauty of the podcasting community. We've met so many cool people, so many really nice people, especially in the Odd Pods media. It's just been so great to get to know these folks and geek out about some of the same things, but to actually, after all that time, be able to meet in person was pretty special. So I was feeling very fortunate that work sends me within, a couple hour train ride away from some people that, it was a pleasure to get to meet. So
beautiful.
Now we're going to have, in next week's episode, we're going to be able to talk about your Swiss excursions. But to round out the English part of your trip, was the Rose and Crown, was that the best food that you had while you were there? You also sent us a picture of a full English breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the full English breakfast was from the hotel, the Hilton Doubletree at the Manchester airport. It was very good. No, I'm going to have to say on the Thursday night in London, we went to this steak place. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a large banquet hall with all round tables in a basement with mostly businessmen drinking and eating steaks. And it's going to go down as one of the best steaks I've ever had. And I got a whiskey from Ireland. I didn't know Waterford made a whiskey, but Waterford, Ireland, known for its crystal and the Waterford crystal that people display in their homes in the New Year's Eve ball. Waterford also makes a darn good whiskey. So that was fun. But yeah, really good steak spot.
So no English classics like Bangers and Mash, Spotted Dick, none of that.
Sticky toffee pudding. I had sticky toffee pudding twice. It's a delicious dessert. Pudding can mean cake. Pudding can mean multiple things.
That's why we became our own country.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do they not have a word for cake?
You could just use ours. It's fine. It's just cake.
So if the Grief Burrito boys are listening and their friends, can't thank you enough. That was so generous of you to spend a day and a half or one evening with me and showing me around. And that was very, very nice. And the offer stands when and if you make it to Columbus, Ohio, or anywhere in Ohio. We will do the same for you. I know Jordan wants to do some ghost hunting in Ohio because there's a lot of ghost stuff here in Ohio. So yeah, the offer is out there and we will do the same.
Indeed we will.
That's all I got. Thanks for listening in, guys.
Well, that feels like a great place to end this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to this number 175, the 175th episode of From the Middle podcast. If you're still listening, head over to our partner's website, artiusman, artiusman.com. If you like how fancy the English are, you're going to love these American-made products for your grooming and men's care pleasure. There's also candles and all kinds of great stuff as we approach the holiday season. So go to artiusman.com, use promo code THEMIDDLE, save 25% off your first order. It's good for them. It's good for you. It's good for us. And you're going to get some incredible products like soaps and beard oils and bath stuff. They make friggin' great stuff. So load up there and definitely tune in to our other social media channels. Wherever you are, look for us, follow us, subscribe, dingy bell, all of those things. And you can always interact with us in our LinkTree. You can shoot us an email, shoot us a text, a phone call, or just slide into our DMs with anything that you want us to talk about. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.